The tone of Assassin's Creed games has changed quite a bit over the years, starting with Assassin's Creed 1, which had a very dark and serious tone. An assassin during the Third Crusade who sent to multiple cities to assassinate high-value Templar targets. Assassin's Creed 2 and the Ezio trilogy as a whole felt a little lighter, since Ezio is a more lighthearted character. However, the story maintained that dark and serious tone throughout. Assassin's Creed 3 in a lot of ways has a very similar tone to AC1. I know a lot of people, especially at the time, didn't particularly like the darker, more serious tone of AC3 and Connor as a character since he wasn't extremely charming and funny like Ezio. But personally, I've always had the opinion that not every character needs to be Ezio. Yes, I love Ezio, no doubt a great protagonist and easily one of the best in the series, in video games as a whole, but just because a character isn't very talkative and cracking jokes doesn't make them a bad protagonist by any means. Personally, I really like protagonists like Connor. His story is very tragic and he had to go through a lot of heartache in Assassin's Creed 3 and he developed quite a lot. So the darker, more serious tone feels appropriate for a character like Connor, and just like real life, not every person is going to be an Ezio in terms of personality. So taking into account Connor's struggles and him being a naturally introverted person, it makes sense why he's the way he is. It would feel so wrong and out of place if Connor was like an Ezio in terms of personality. Another game I feel really nailed the tone is Assassin's Creed Origins. A lot of people love Bayek as a protagonist and think he deserved a sequel, including me, and in a lot of ways his story and personality is similar to Connor's. The overall tone of Assassin's Creed Origins is very dark. Bayek is trying to avenge his son's death, and so he tracks down those who are responsible, and it's his main drive throughout the game. It would feel very odd and out of place for the tone to be lighter and more comedic, obviously, and Origins does a great job of keeping that darker tone. In Odyssey, one of my biggest issues with the story was the inconsistency with the tone. It has a pretty dark opening and the game can be serious at times, but that quickly changes as the game puts a lot of emphasis on comedy as well. Now obviously I'm not saying having comedy in the games is a bad thing, I like a good joke myself, but there are plenty of times in Odyssey where it feels like too much. It feels forced. Personally, some of the comedy is so bad that it's more funny than the comedy itself, and it doesn't fit with what the tone of the game and series has been and should be. If you compare Odyssey to AC1, AC3, and even the rest of the series pre-Odyssey, the tone is very different. It's even much different from Origins, which only came out a year prior. It's actually a trend I notice in a lot of Ubisoft games today. For example, Far Cry 6 has a lot of this comedy and wackiness similar to Odyssey. It's very noticeable in Watch Dogs Legion as well. Compare the tone of that game to the original Watch Dogs, it's so different. I'm not quite sure what sparked this tonal change in a lot of new Ubisoft games, but I don't like it. AC Valhalla is also very odd and inconsistent with its tone. The main story itself I feel is quite dark and serious, but then there's the out of place, wacky characters or comic relief that are more annoying than humorous. The world activities feature a lot of comedy that's forgettable and childish. Tell me where in the old Assassin's Creed games we were getting lethal fart jokes, because that's literally one of the world activities in Valhalla. Now, not all of the world activities are like this. There's a few good, genuinely thought out ones, but a vast majority is just really bizarre, childish comedy. It doesn't fit in Assassin's Creed. If we're being real here, it even affects the immersion of the game. You want the world to feel like you've been transported back in time. You're playing as a Viking in a war-torn, cruel, and grueling land where you must kill or be killed, except somebody actually died from a fart. Or another I remember is where you had to steal clothes from a naked cult. Maybe you like this kind of stuff. I'm not here to tell you what you do and don't like, of course. I'm just simply showing how the tones of the games have changed and how I prefer when the games took themselves, the characters, and worlds it's built seriously. To me, the tone of the story is very important in the Assassin's Creed series. I want a story that's going to resonate with me on a deeper level or pull some kind of emotion and get me invested in the story. And the lighter, more comedic tones don't do that for me. Like I said, I think it's more annoying than funny. But that's just my opinion. Feel free to let me know down in the comments which kind of tone you prefer for Assassin's Creed games and your thoughts on how it's changed over the years. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you considered leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you're new here. I make a lot of Assassin's Creed videos. Other than that, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day, Assassins.